In an absolute sign of the times, Nebraska might be canceling its spring game. We got to talk about why that is, what Matt Rhule is trying to do, and what athletic director Troy Dannon had to say about it. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching the #1 college football show, welcome. Thank you for being here. We talk college football 365 days a year here in these parts. If you like what you're watching, please hit that subscribe button. It's like a follow on X or Instagram or TikTok. Just lets YouTube know that you like the show, and you can join the 130,000 plus people that are members, subscribers to this community. And tell me in the comments below, do you think Nebraska should hold a spring game? It's an open question, right? It's a very good question because it's coming from a very good place. Matt Rhule does not want to showcase the new talent that he brought in or the talent that they are developing on television or for prying eyes. What he called it was, quote, an open market, a common market, a free way to evaluate his players in real time as they go through what is essentially a parade, right? We don't learn much from spring games. We like to see players in spring games, and we like to assign some value to the play they have. But I got at least 2 instances where that was categorically wrong. And these are my own personal experience. The first one came when Trey McGuire made an outstanding play, and he was a great 5-star prospect. They were really happy to get him. He had made this one-handed grab that was just ridiculous, and we all thought that Trey McGuire was going to be one of the better wide receivers that Oklahoma had ever recruited. Didn't go that way. Couldn't quite get his hands around it. Then I went to go see Jackson Arnold at his first opportunity to play in a spring game. And that dude could spin the football. He was throwing darts. He even did it last year where everybody got to know Deion Burks was going to be the man when he was throwing darts. Come around to playing football. That ain't how it went. Jackson Arnold got a win against a top 25 Alabama team at home. That was really the highlight of the OU season in 2024, for which they finished 6-7. Offensive coordinator got fired. The defensive coordinator left. And Oklahoma has gone to John Mateer and Ben Arbuckle, and it looks like Brent Venables calling plays as a result of Jackson Arnold not really being that great. Now, I also take a look at this, and I understand where Matt Rhule is coming from. We live in a market now, or in a place now where the market is putting money, very, very real money behind players, right? And he was the first dude to come out in public and say, hey, just so everybody's clear, a good transfer quarterback is going to cost you about $1 million. And he was right on the money. A good quarterback who could lead you to a national championship, to a berth in the college football playoff was about that. Riley Leonard at Notre Dame, 1-year rental, got Notre Dame to the national championship game for the first time since 2012. Will Howard, 1-year rental, got Ohio State to the national championship game for the first time since 2020, and its first win since 2014. If you have players like Dylan Raiola, for instance, perhaps you want to protect your asset just by not showing it. And this goes back to long-standing thought that coaches just did not want to talk about because, well, it opens up their motive to some questions. Why don't you see younger players play more often, and why are we always asking about them? Because we can't see them. We can't see them, and we have seen enough of what the veterans look like, and we think that we're going to get better over there. So the idea is to protect the asset because, well, if you're looking at a player as an asset and not a person for just a second here, even though I myself don't like doing this, but for the purposes of this example, I'm going to use it. You're looking at the asset depreciates as soon as you put it out. It's like buying a car off the lot. It loses value the moment you drive it away. So you want to protect that value for as long as you possibly can, till such time as you actually got it, take that car racing. Or perhaps it ain't as good as you thought it was going to be, and it's going to take a little bit more time to get there. And that way, it's kind of like a video game that needs more time to develop. Don't give us a date. Just say, we'll release it when it's ready, right? I think what Matt Rhule is doing is going, the spring game doesn't matter. We know that the spring game doesn't matter. The spring game is tradition, especially at places like Nebraska, where they routinely get about 60,000 people to show up in what is a really fun fan event that's more about fan appreciation than anything else, right? You can usually get into a spring game for $10 $5 free in most places, but Ohio State's going to showcase what a national championship looks like after the fact. It might be a bigger game, right? Nebraska, though, has always done this for its fans. And I think while there's still, if we're going to play a spring game, according to Troy Dannon, it would happen on April 26th, but it is yet to be determined. Maybe you don't have a spring game. Maybe you have fan appreciation, but what does fan appreciation look like if it's not built around something like football or like a football game? Because you get players out there and you ask them to say play flag football, you still can watch that stuff. But also, Nebraska's spring game was on the Big Ten Network, which means that all of us could participate in Nebraska's Fan Appreciation Day in a spring game, and we could evaluate from there. I think some of this is coaches are so paranoid about who's talking to their players and what they're showing that they want to keep as much of this close to their vest as they possibly can. I think some of this is overkill. Like Lincoln Riley would be really, really cagey about who he let talk to whom, even when it came time for like broadcast crews to come and do. And usually broadcast crews, they get carte blanche. They get to talk to anybody they want to as often as they want to get as many stories as they can, because frankly, that's how you put on a very good broadcast. And also, this is what you want. If you are one of these programs, you want the best stories to make it to air, and you got to trust those folks to do it. It's why you get paid a lot of money to do that sort of a job, and it's why you got to earn that trust, right? It's not given. You have to earn it over time. However, the more I look at what college football is and what it is becoming, the more I am thinking we're probably going to do away with spring games in the foreseeable future. As much as I don't necessarily enjoy this, as part of it. You're having teams like Ohio State that are learning what it takes to play 16 games in a season, and that you need to be fresh for the second half of that run if you expect to make a run to the national championship. I mean, it was playing from August 20th, give or take, to January 20th. That's a long time. I think we're going to see more of an NFL kind of model, or that's what I would like to see, where we have mini camps or training camps, right? A mini camp, for instance, you get kids through school. You also get to protect them. You don't have to showcase them. And then when the summer period comes over and the second portal window is gone, you bring everybody in for a training camp and you start doing your training camp maybe the way that the NFL does, which means we would start practicing well before school is in session. Start practicing as soon as possible after the July 4th date is what I would think. We'll see, right? That would take some legislation change, but I don't think that that's that difficult given they would be giving up the spring game. And if you can get your players on campus, you can get your players on campus. That's part of it, right? I realize also that there's a lot of college football fans that are going, RJ, are we really becoming more like the NFL? Are we really becoming professional? Yeah, and we have been for some time. The paying players, get that to the side over here, right? You believe what you believe about that. The other part about this is because we play football games and because more football games are on TV and the rights for football games continue to go up, the value of the players continue to go up, the value of coaches continue to go up. People want to protect more of that inventory. Now, on all of this, I need to say, the closer we get to the NFL, the better. For instance, the national championship game drew about 22 million people, right? Some say it's because it's on a Monday night. Some say it's because it was on Inauguration Day, Martin Luther King Day. I don't really buy that. We've been playing the national championship on a Monday night for some time, though, because we are playing second to the NFL. By comparison, the following weekend, that Sunday, the NFC championship game on Fox drew about 56 million people, and the AFC championship game on CBS drew about 57 million people. That's a gargantuan number compared to college football. And frankly, when we have things like even today, if you're watching this on a Saturday, the spring game is the Senior Bowl, right? Like that's those guys have already put on for a week in front of the NFL because that's what we're going to, and that's where they want to get to. The NFL likes the model, right? Nobody wants to see players that aren't ready get to the NFL, but they also love this ready-made, quote-unquote, minor league for them to draft from because that's what happens, right? The kids, they play 3, 4, 5 years, and they go. Or if they're Dylan Gabriel, they play 6 or 7, or what have you. Tyler Shuck, you play 7. I think Matt Rhule is trying to get ahead of this. I also think that Matt Rhule is trying to protect Nebraska. I think you're also going to see more players and coaches get behind this because injury is going to be lower because you're going to be pushing further and further away. You're going to be able to focus more on strength and conditioning and getting bodies prepared for the punishment that they're going to suffer for what could be a 16-game season. And if it goes to 16 teams, maybe a couple of more. And you don't have to deal with the headache that is spring game. Spring game is really difficult to put on. It is for everybody, especially if you are a major Power 4 team. I think, this is where we're going. It's time for us to get on the good foot, make it work. We'll be talking about college football. We'll still be talking about quarterbacks and whatnot and what the teams are going to look like. But this feels like it's been coming for some time.